Welcome everyone to episode 51 of Kowalski Analysis. I'm your host, Rob B. Kowalski, and I'm so excited tonight. We have on a really big guest, the biggest guest that I've been able to land so far, and I'm super excited to talk to him. It is Kevin Sorbo. Many of you know Kevin Sorbo from Hercules fame and several movies that he's been in. Actually, I'm going to go over some of his credentials here in a minute, but very, very excited to talk to him. He's very outspoken Christian and very bold about his faith. And yeah, we're going to get him in here in just a minute. But before I do, as always, I want to just take a moment to give a shout out to my sponsor, and that is Mr. Micah Hughes. I'm just going to share my screen here as always. I want to show Micah's logo. Pardon me. There it is. Micah is a close friend of mine. He's does everything real estate. So again, if you want to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, Micah is your man. He will take good care of you. He gives you a lot of personal attention, and he does consider this his ministry. So he puts his heart into it. You can give him a call at 443-532-8450, or you can email him, and I'll put his email address in the show notes. But without further ado, let me tell you about my next guest. So Kevin Sorbo. Our next guest does not need an introduction, and we will go over time if I told you about all the work that he's done. But let me just mention some of his accomplishments. Kevin Sorbo is an actor, producer, and director who has worked on over 60 movies and television series. He's best known for his leading role of Hercules in the popular TV series, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. It was actually one of the highest rated syndicated television shows in the world at the time. It might even be the highest, most watched television show in the world. I'm going to ask him about that. But he was the lead actor in Call the Conqueror, who happened to be Conan's father, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was Captain Dillon and Captain Dillon in Andromeda. He was Andy on the sitcom 2.5 Men. He was in God's Not Dead. He's been in so many other movies: Abel's Field, Confessions of a Prodigal Son, Let There Be Light, Storm Rider, Joseph and Mary. He's currently filming the Reagan movie, a film about the life of President Ronald Reagan, and he will be directing and starring in, I think that's what I heard. I know he's directing it, the next Left Behind movie, which is going to be wild. Recently, he authored, actually, I'm going to bring him in and we're going to talk about the next part a little bit. But without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Kevin Sorbo. Hey there, sir.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Okay.
It's an honor. Thank you for joining me.
No, my pleasure. Where are you based out of?
Baltimore.
All right. I've been there a few times, done a couple speaking events there. I was there right when the riots were going on about 6 years ago, whenever it was.
You know, I tell people about everything that's going on with all the, these cities and all the uprising. And I'm like, all you have to do is look at Baltimore. We're 5 years ahead of you.
Yeah, it's true.
Look how it worked out. Look how it worked out here.
I have an after school program in California. I live in Florida now, but I have an after school program still going on. I'm still a celebrity spokesperson in 24 years. And LA Unified has a 54% dropout rate, but Baltimore's is higher.
Wow. That's sad. It's so sad.
It is sad.
They actually just passed a law where you can deal drugs, you can be a prostitute, you can take a crap on the sidewalk, and you can't prosecute them.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the news lately, and I mean, I lived in LA for years. When I first moved out there as a 20-some-year-old, pursue the acting dream, I lived on the Santa Monica and the Venice border. So I used to bike after working on a Gold's Gym. I would bike down the path down through Venice all the way down to Manhattan Beach and back again. And I just watched some of the news today. There's like hundreds of tents of homeless people living right along the boardwalk now. And that was never going around. It was always a weird place, but it's never, they're doing the drugs, there's fights. People are afraid to even go down there. And that was used to be a big tourist place.
Yeah. And if you make over $400,000 a year, you have to pay 63% in taxes, I think is what I heard.
I think the state tax is going up to 16.9 or 16.5.
So the people that did the right thing and went
leaving like me, but go ahead.
No, the people that actually went to college, they probably worked really hard their whole life. Yeah. They made it. They make $400,000 a year. So they did something right. They have to give 2/3 of their money to the government to support the people that have made probably terrible life decisions.
Yeah, it's we live in an upside down world. You know what? I mean, you know that as well as I do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy right now.
Yeah, well, I just introduced you to everybody. I did not tell them about the next part, which I just quickly want to do. I didn't want to. Your credentials are so long. I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to have you on here, so I didn't tell them about all the television. I already told them about the television and the films. I didn't do that with you here, but I wanted to tell everyone recently that you authored a book, 2 books, one called True Faith, a follow-up of the widely praised book True Strength, and which you're going to tell us more about. I also didn't tell them where you were from, that you're from Mound, Minnesota. Is that right? Mound, Minnesota?
Little tiny town about 25 miles west of Minneapolis, and it's on the beautiful shores of Lake Minnetonka. Lake Minnetonka is the name of from a bird's eye view, it's like a cluster of grapes. You have about, I don't know, 15 different bays all connected by channels. And we lived on the farthest west inside of that, and Mound was home to Tonka Toys. Get it? Lake Minnetonka, and we're called Tonka Toys.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was watching some of your just your testimony where you were speaking at church and some of the things you've done with 700 Club, just learning a lot more about you. I actually did not know about your illness. Actually, that was the first time I had heard about it. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But before I did, I just wanted to ask you about some of your current projects. The movie that's out, I guess, in theaters now is The Girl Who Believes in Miracles, that came out in April. So, and I understand you have some movies open in the summer, One Nation Under God and Miracle in East Texas. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
I do. Well, One Nation, Miracle in East Texas is a movie that I directed and acted in. It's based on a true story set in 1930, right in the heart of America's Depression. And it's about 2 con men played by myself and John Ratzenberger. And people remember John's claim to fame. He was Cliff on Cheers, the postman, but he's been on tons of, he has his own TV series for a while. It was a reality show called Made in America, where he would travel around to places around the country and say, look, these great products being made in America. And he's a guy that believes in the total infrastructure of America, the work that it needs. And we have a shortage of plumbers and electricians and welders and, you know, people that get out there and make a great living. Unfortunately, we live in a world today where everybody wants to be a celebrity. So it's kind of strange what's going on there. But anyway, these 2 guys, these 2 con men would literally woo widows out of their money on fake oil wells all through Oklahoma and Texas. Well, they got to Texas. Now, this isn't like I'm giving the movie away. It's called Miracle in East Texas. They actually strike oil. It's being the largest oil find in the history of the world. And it's won 10 wonderful awards. We're going to get it in screens probably late August, early September. John Ratzenberger's in it. Tyler Maine's in it. People remember him. He's a WWF guy, but he was also Sabretooth in the original X-Men movies. And then we got the amazing Oscar winner Lou Gossett Jr. in it as well. And it's just a wonderful movie, and families love it. And I'm excited for that to get out. The One Nation Under God opens the week of 4th of July. It's about putting that phrase back into our Pledge of Allegiance in schools. One Nation Under God, which I believe it should be there. And the movie out right now is The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. It's been out in theaters. I think we're on our end of our 2nd month now with it. And it's a wonderful movie, family movie, dealing with a little girl who takes it to heart when her pastor tells her, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. And she's this little 8-year-old girl, and she starts praying for things to happen in her hometown, and things start to happen. It's not walking on water. It's just enough to make people go, well, that's odd. I can't believe that happened. So it's just a wonderful feel-good movie to say, you know what, we got to find faith in our world again, because to see what's going on, we need to find love and hope and redemption and laughter. And those are the type of movies I love to do, because Hollywood's not making them. You see the violence out there. You see the hatred out there. You see the anger out there, and you see it being played out in our streets every single day. People are looking for something to give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of escapism. It's unfortunately we got to call love and laughter and hope escapism, but you know, I'm fighting for that. I mean, movies will influence people, and you see how they're influencing our youth today.
So the Miracle in East Texas is based on a true story, is that right?
Miracle in East Texas is a true story. It's written by Dan Gordon. Dan Gordon is Academy Award nominated writer. He was nominated for original screenplay. He wrote The Hurricane for Denzel Washington, which Denzel won the best actor in. He wrote Wide Earp, Kevin Costner's movie, and he wrote 60 episodes of Michael Landon's series Highway to Heaven. An amazing writer. And I've got 2 of his other scripts. And he wrote, like I said, he wrote Miracle in East Texas. He co-wrote my last movie that I directed called Let There Be Light, that my wife wrote along with him. people, I recommend Let There Be Light. It's streaming on Amazon. It's doing great. I still recommend God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, What If. I mean, I've been very blessed to do a lot of wonderful independent movies that have had great success out there because, as I said, people want these kind of movies.
Yeah. So usually it seems like the Christian movies, at least the ones that make it to theaters, tend to do well, like financially. I wonder why don't they make more of them, or what can we do to? What can we do?
I don't know. You know what we don't have the power that Hollywood has to promote. People look at Avengers, Avatar, Thor movies, these kind of movies, Spider-Man. These are $300 million movies, guys, because there are so many visual effects in them. Most of them are just like a roller coaster ride, really. Right. And then they have $100 million to promote them. So you'll see the trailer for these movies on every football and basketball game and every TV show. We don't have that kind of money. We need people. The movies I do are in the $3-4 million range. It sounds like a lot of money. That's catering budget on Pirates of the Caribbean, you know? And I know that gets a laugh, but that's truthful. And we need word of mouth. We need people out there that when they find about those movies, they get on the internet and they say, you must see this movie. You know, God's Not Dead became a phenomenon because they had a great advertising campaign with that within the movie. At the end of the movie, we get Willie Robertson from the Duck Dynasty get on there and say, hey, take out your cell phones right now in the theater and text everybody, know God's not dead. God's not dead. And it's just like wildfire. It spread out there. And that was brilliant because it was free advertising. I get stopped all the time through airports, hotel lobbies, restaurants, through, it used to be because of Hercules or Andromeda. I mean, Hercules was a massive hit, 176 countries, most watched show in the world. I was thankful to be part of that. Andromeda, another big hit, Gene Roddenberry's show. That's 10% of the time. 90% of the time, people say, please make more movies like Let There Be Light and God's Not Dead. Please, we need that. So why Hollywood doesn't pay attention to the 80 million homes out there that want that shows you where our country is right now with the ideology and hate towards people who are conservative or Christian. I don't get it. I don't have that animosity or hate towards my liberal friends or atheists or agnostics. I meet these people, we talk, why can't we just, you know what, I have a different point of view, that's fine. But why is Hollywood, which is a capitalist business, they can scream that they're on the socialist side. They're not. Hollywood and, I mean, Paramount and Universal and the Sony studios, they want to make money. That's what they're in business for. They want to make their stockholders happy. There's nothing wrong with that because that's what this country is built on. It's built on the backs of individuals, not big government. And look what we're doing right now. We're letting government get bigger and bigger, and look what it's doing to the country. So I'm still fighting for a good fight, and I need anybody out there who's an investor or funder to get a hold of me. kevinsorbo.net, great place to get a hold of me. LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn and find me there. We're looking for money. I recently just got my next movie funded called Left Behind. And I know a lot of your people probably know what the Left Behind books are about. I'm directing it. I'm taking over the role that Nicolas Cage was in the last one. And we start filming here in August and September. So we're looking forward to making that movie. It's a great script.
I love it. I mean, one of the highest selling Christian sci-fi books,
80 million books.
Yeah, maybe obviously the highest, I'd imagine. And I'd love to see the movies do better. What are you bringing to it? Is there a new spin to it, or?
It's, you know, it's really continuation of the last one, which actually did pretty well. But something happened. I don't know what happened with, I don't know. There were lawsuits going on. So they had to handle all this stuff. It took 6-7 years to finally get rid of that because, you know, once you get lawyers involved, I've got a wonderful script that I want to get done where my character accidentally dies and he's in heaven and the line is so long. It's a very politically incorrect movie. I laughed reading the whole thing. And the line's so long to get into the pearly gates, and he taps the guy in front of him, dude, what's going on? He goes, oh, lawyers. And I go, they're lawyers in heaven? He said, well, God felt sorry. And once you let one lawyer in, they all got it.
That's hilarious. Is Nicolas Cage a believer?
I have no idea. And I think that was one of the reasons maybe they went on. What happened is the guys behind it was called Cloud 10. They're based out of Toronto. They got bombarded with emails and messages from people saying, you need Kevin Sorbo in this movie, not Nicolas Cage. So that's really how the whole thing came together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I think Hollywood, you know what it is? I was thinking about it earlier because I was like, you know, why don't they make more Christian movies? And I think it's like when you have money and you have success, you typically drift from God. You know, that the security becomes your God typically. You know, like you see it over and over in the Bible with the Israelites. They drift, you know, they get prosperous and they drift off.
Yeah. Hey, Moses came down and said, "What are you guys doing?"
Right.
They're making a golden calf to worship. So yeah, I mean, well, look, none of us are perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I mean, but I've always been a Christian. I've always been a believer. But you know, every day I do something stupid that I got to ask God to forgive me for. I mean, I know I'm forgiven for all the stupidity in my life. The hardest thing is forgiving myself for some of the things I've done in my life. You know, and that's the hardest thing. I'm my own worst critic, and I'm my own worst enemy in a way too. So here's the thing about. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's really it. But I was talking to a friend. I said you get unlimited chances with Christianity. Where things start to go left is when you try to redefine right and wrong. That's where things go left.
You know, it's interesting. I've got atheist friends, and I say, you know what? Here's the problem with Christians. Our faith needs to be as strong as yours. And I go, what do you mean? I go, for you guys to believe in absolutely nothing, that's amazing. That's amazing that kind of faith. And what I say to Christians all the time, we are literally supposed to be the most forgiving people on the planet. And a lot of times we're the least forgiving. And we get very judgmental, and they're this and that. We're the ones who need to be a little more open. You know, we're called to harvest. And we're called to harvest in a loving way. We need to have as much passion as you see the Antifa and BLM out there. But let's not have the passion the way they do in terms of destructiveness and hate and anger. Let's have the same amount of passion. Let's do it with love and kindness. Let's have open conversations with people. You're going to be attacked. Trust me. My manager and agent said goodbye to me 10 years ago because being a Christian and a conservative in Hollywood is like being a double leper. I mean, it really is. So I got banished, but thank God when that door closed, God opened another door for me. And I loved the industry, and I wanted to get involved in making movies and TV for the reasons when I was a kid. Movies touched me. Movies made me laugh, made me cry, made me think, made me relate to characters on stage like that, or relate to people in that movie or TV show of people that I know. So I love people when they walk out of a movie theater and go, wow, that was touching for this reason and that. I walk out of an Avatar movie or an Avengers movie, had a great roller coaster ride, but I really didn't care about the characters that much, because reality is I'll never be Hercules. You'll never be Captain America. They're not real.
Yeah.
And when you see these movies and 10 buildings go down in New York City, you go, okay, those skyscrapers, realize like 3 million people just died, but we don't talk about that when we watch these movies.
Right. How much do you think art shapes life?
Huge. Walt Disney said back in the 50s, movies and television will influence the youth more than anything else. And you see the way it's being played out in our streets right now. Right. I've always said, you look at Antifa. This is a gang. These are gang. I would love to see a social profile in each one of these people. I imagine they're not happy with their lives. I imagine not happy with who they are, with their relationships if they have one, with their jobs if they have one. For them to go out there and just destroy other people's businesses, throw bricks through it, start things on fire, hit people with crowbars and tire irons and baseball bats and guns and kill people. You imagine, okay, I can't imagine that amount of anger in my life. But if they had any biblical principles in their lives, if they had any belief of God in their lives and Jesus, would they be out doing that in the streets? I don't think so. I think that's a pretty strong case to say that Christianity isn't nearly as violent as you see what's being played on our streets right now.
Absolutely. I think everybody wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. So if you have that void of God in your life, they latch on to whatever, so it's whether it's Antifa or BLM or whatever. And, I think it's not politically correct to say this, but if you're a radical Christian, you go on mission trips, you serve the poorest of the poor. If you're a radical, whatever else, it's usually like, depending on what it is, you could be cutting people's heads off and
I know. I'm not against protesting. We're protesting the way that you're supposed to protest in a nice way. I protested just yesterday up in Hartford, Connecticut. We're in front of the state capitol building there. They've got a very far left governor that is just making this city do things that would look. I live in Florida now. We've got the best governor in the country right here. I'm telling you right now. DeSantis is an amazing guy. Yeah. And I look at the difference of how COVID affected this state compared to the blue states out there. And they're going, guys, why don't you take the example of what we're doing or what Texas is doing or what, Tennessee's even doing? I mean, California, my God, they're giving tickets to people that were walking on a beach without a mask on. Are you kidding me?
And people are leaving there in droves.
Fear is an amazing weapon, and government is not going to, they're not going to miss the opportunity to take advantage of any crisis. I'll tell you that much right now. And they're using fear at every levels of government to control your life and my life. And enough is enough already, guys. We got to get back. If 340 million people took these stupid masks off, what are they going to arrest us all?
Right.
Take your mask off. We need to protect those who, I get it. Don't attack me because I think COVID's a joke. COVID is real. But when the average age is still 80 years old, that's dying from it with pre-existing conditions, like they got asthma, something else wrong with the lungs, heart attacks, cancer. They have existing conditions that are probably going to kill them anyway. This just brings it on much quicker. And I get it. We need to protect people like my mom, who's 89 years old. I totally get it. But to sit there and put a mask on 7 and 8-year-old kids is stupidity. To make healthy people take shots is crazy to me. And the mask wearing, it's showing more and more now that COVID is affecting these states that have stricter mask laws than the states that don't. The evidence is there. And now we're getting off Fauci emails to show how much he was like trying to control our lives. So wake up, people. I mean, here's the thing. Wear a mask if you want to wear one. If you don't want to wear one, don't wear one.
Right.
Get the shot if you want to get the shot. If you don't want to get the shot, don't get the shot. Why are we turning into a socialist, communist type of country that wants, somebody laughing for saying this, but I honestly think when we see government officials get these shots, they're probably getting B12 shots. I bet you're not really taking the vaccine. I may be going on a limb here and being all conspiratorial, but I'd be curious to see how much truth is in that when here's a drug that's not even FDA tested, this vaccine. And they haven't even said it's safe yet to take it. And we're seeing a lot of weird side effects and people dying and getting weird other things, Bell palsy, blood clots. A lot more things are happening now out there that they're not reporting on. And I think we need more proof that this vaccine is for real, because when you got a guy like Bill Gates that's saying, hey, the world's overpopulated, we need to do something. But by the way, I have a vaccine that's going to save your life. Okay.
Yeah, that's trustworthy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A friend of mine said, he's like, my body, my choice. I'm like, that's a great argument, because the left will use
Love that. Because Planned Parenthood uses that, right?
Right.
My body, my choice. And I tell people that believe in abortion, go, wait a minute. My body, my choice as for abortion? No, because if it was your body, you'd be dead. Right. But my body, my choice works for that, for the mask wearing and for the vaccine.
Yeah.
It is my body, my choice. And I think we should start stealing that little pro-death march that Planned Parenthood does that believes in murder and use it for our rights for mask, or not wearing masks or wearing masks.
I love what Dave Chappelle said. He says, are you pro-choice or anti-consequence?
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty accurate right there.
Yeah, pretty accurate. Yeah.
So you got banned recently on Facebook.
Yeah.
That was wild. I know you were pretty outspoken about all this stuff, and I love your boldness, actually. I mean, it definitely applauded. It's rare in Hollywood. There's very few celebrities that are afraid, that are that bold, I guess, in speaking the truth. So how have you been able to sustain relationships with, people that feel threatened by God's truth in your industry?
We got, I met with Governor DeSantis 3 times. I talked with his chief of staff recently. The governor here has passed a law saying if you get taken down, you can file a lawsuit for up to $100,000 against these people. We need to get rid of the C-230, whatever this act is that protects them. Why should they have more control over the First Amendment than our government does? So they gave me a couple warnings, and most of my posts were, hey, here's what this massive group of doctors are saying about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, how it can protect and save your life if you have COVID. And they said, you can't say that. But no, I'm not saying it. These doctors are saying it. And I'm asking people what they think. Hey, here's what these guys are saying in Arizona and Michigan about voter fraud. What do you think? Oh, you can't say that. And they make me take it down. Then all of a sudden, they just took me down. They started cutting down 10,000 followers like every other day, just boom, 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 taking that away from me. And then they just took me down. And so I went after them. I got so much press. And I said, I'm going to do a lawsuit. Hercules versus Zuckerberg. Let's see what that wimp, if he has the balls to go up against me. I'm not talking physically, because obviously he wouldn't stand a chance. But I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking for a legal battle fight, because it's ridiculous that this multi-billionaire punk can sit there and hire these trolls. See, I want to face my accusers. They know who I am. That's why they went after me. I want to meet these people face to face that are telling me the things that I say are bad. Meanwhile, when I post anything on Facebook and Twitter, I get dozens of people saying, I hope you die. I hope I get a chance to rape your daughter. And they leave those assholes, pardon my French, on the internet, that they can be on Facebook and they can on Twitter when they're threatening me and threatening my life and threatening my family. That's okay for them to do that. Look at the weird double standard that these guys have. They love violence. They love to hate. They don't like the lie. They don't like the light. They love living in darkness. Every time you expose who they are, because everything they blame you and me for, they're already guilty of.
Right.
And they hate looking at themselves in the mirrors. These people are punks. These people are vile. These people are evil. And these people are wicked. And they're afraid to face people like me and you face to face. And I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking for a real face-to-face conversation about what is right and what is wrong, because the world they live in is a lot different than the world than I live in.
Yeah. Well, here's the great equalizer, because I often think about it, because it's crazy. Like, the world lost its damn mind, it seems like, in the last year. I mean,
Yeah.
it went quick. It got weird quick.
Well, people are unhappy.
Right.
They're using this as an excuse to just play out their anger.
And so I think, I think we're probably living in close to the last days. I know there's a lot of Bible prophecies that have been fulfilled over the last 70 years, Israel regaining their land, and you see what's going on over there now, and just how weird everything's getting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the beauty of it is those people have to come to Jesus and they get raptured, right? Or they have to live through the second half of the tribulation, which is really going to suck for them. So it's like, either way, I got a big smile on my face, because if you come over to my side, that's awesome. Like, yes, we welcome you. I want you to become a Christian. But if you don't, well, sucks for you, because God's going to pour out his judgments on the earth on the last 3.5 years, and you're going to have to live through that. And you're literally going to be chewing your tongue out of your mouth because you're in so much torture, and you won't be able to die, because at that point you've taken the mark of the beast, and you know that you're going to have to stand before God, and you're probably going to get sent to hell. So you're just going to have to sit there and take it for 3.5 years, knowing that it's coming anyway. Like, that to me would be the worst possible outcome for anyone. So in the end, we win. They either come to our side or they get punished.
Well, that's what Left Behind's about. That's what the next script is about. I mean, it's pretty graphic, the next script, the next go around. And it's weird. I mean, I got atheist friends, and we'll go golf together, have a beer afterwards. And, sometimes we talk about it and bring it up, and I'll sit there and look at them and go, I look at it this way. If I'm wrong, I've lost absolutely nothing. If I'm right, see you later, dude. Because, here's the thing. I can't explain why God is. We'll learn one day. We'll understand it one day. Well, all I know is you cannot get something from nothing. You know what? I pointed a building and go, did that building just appear? Was there nothing there? Well, no, somebody made it. Exactly. Somebody made it, guys. And, but you're right. You stumped me on, well, who started God? Well, it's the chicken and the egg, right? Something had to start this, and it wasn't you and it wasn't me, and it was something far more powerful and far more intelligent than any of us are. You see a lot of atheists, very famous atheists, that have started questioning intelligent design, and just be questioning, well, because math is pretty much involved in everything. I know we're trying to change 2 + 2 = 4 now. Welcome to another Bill Gates thing, right? With Common Core math. But it's very fascinating to me to see what's going on. I've got a wonderful documentary out right now. It's #1 for 5 months on Amazon, called Before the Wrath. I narrated it. Brent Miller's company put it together. It is awesome. And it's a look at the book of Revelation, highly educational. And you don't need to be a Christian to watch it, but I think anybody should watch it because it's incredibly informative and interesting. And as I said, educational. So please take a look at it. The other documentary I would give a quick plug for, just came out a couple months ago, is called Against the Tide. And I did this with John Lennox, who's a very famous apologist. He's debated the atheists like Dawkins and Hitchens and Singer. We spent 3 weeks in Oxford, England, where he's a retired math professor, and 2 weeks in Israel. And it's really about proving God in a world of science. And I'm on camera with them and narrate it, but boy, I learned a lot. I call it apologetics for dummies like me. And I think people should check it out. AgainstTheTide.movie, AgainstTheTide.movie. And the other one's BeforeTheWrath.com. So check out BeforeTheWrath.com. I think you guys will find those things very, very interesting.
It's awesome. What do you think we're living in the last days?
Well, it's like Before the Wrath says, and what the Bible says, we won't know the time or the day, right? It's like a thief in the night. We're not going to know. We're not going to know. But are there signs there? Certainly there are signs there. I don't, and like you as well, you're bringing up the subject, but you don't worry about it, and I don't worry about it. It's just, I love being here right now. I love this life right now. I still want to do what the Bible is asking me to do in terms of harvesting, because I think I do it through my movies. Pastors remind me all the time when I meet them. They say, you can reach millions in your movies. I'm a pastor of a small church, small congregation. I said, yeah, but I need your small congregation. You know what I need? I need an app that goes to every religious leader in America. And then I send them the movie.
Right.
And then they get in front of their people and say, hey, this weekend, this movie opens, support this movie.
Yeah.
Because we need all the help we can get with these movies to get people to see them. And we need the support of all those small churches. You know, every single drop made up the ocean, right? Every drop of water. So it makes a big difference when you get a big group of people to jump on board with you, a small group of people, but jump in that ocean with us. And let's get the messages out there. But you know, when the time comes, the time's going to come. You know, there's not much we can do about it. But to me, it's a positive, not a negative.
I think that's what Mel Gibson always did such a good job of with The Passion, is he really got the churches involved. It seemed like
he did.
And then he's got the new one coming out, The Resurrection, I think, right?
Well, yeah, they haven't started even close to filming. I don't think they would start for another couple of years, probably. But I told him, I said, I want to be in that movie. Jim Caviezel and I had the same manager for about 8 years. So our careers pretty much started around the same time. When I got Hercules and way back in 1993, he started in 94, 95, Thin Red Line, the Army movie he did with Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox. So I just ran into him recently. We were just at an event honoring our wounded warriors. Yeah, I know it's going to happen. I think it's still a couple years. Don't even think the script is probably in a very rough form at this point.
You actually look like Jim Caviezel a little bit. Look, you could be his brother.
Then
you should play James.
I should play James.
That would be awesome.
I think they should work that out. Why not? I'll tell that to Mel. I had a very good talk to him when I went to his premiere of this movie, Hacksaw Ridge. Had a very good chat with him there. But yeah.
Start a petition.
Mel, if you're listening, I'm ready, bud.
Hey, have you ever met Kevin James?
Met him a number of times. I've done his golf tournament many times when I used to live back in LA.
Yeah, because I found out he's a pretty devout Christian.
Yeah, he is.
That's pretty awesome, because I did not know that. I'll tell you a story, but I won't tell you now. Just if I get a chance, I'll tell you when we stop this. But it was pretty cool how I learned that. So how dangerous do you think cancel culture is?
Incredibly dangerous. I mean, look, these are angry people that are looking to go after anybody who isn't in line with the insanity of what they're saying. You know, racism has only exploded in the last couple of years. I didn't feel any of that stuff back in the 70s, 80s, even in the 90s. You know, I know plenty of black people and plenty of people I know that are friends of mine that are black. And it's like, we're all looking at each other, scratching each other's heads. I mean, this is crazy what we're doing right now. To sit there and go, well, I disagree with you. And if I disagree with you, then I'm gonna destroy your life. I mean, I'm losing jobs already at making appearances at autograph shows or speaking events because somebody comes out and says, well, he said this. We're giving the most power to the smallest percentage of people in this country right now.
Right.
You can say anything about anybody now. It doesn't have to be true. Just have a smear campaign. You can say anything about anybody, and now you're guilty until proven innocent, when it used to be the other way around. It's insane what we're doing right now. It's insane that we can't have opposing points of view, and government officials are just lining up. We're getting industries throwing all this money at Black Lives Matter when their manifesto clearly states they're Marxist and communist. They want to get rid of God. They want to get rid of the family unit. They say that pregnancy for women is slavery. I'm going, okay, so if we stop getting people pregnant right now, that means in about 100 years, there'll be no person left on this planet. There you go. There's your population control right there. It's crazy. And they took the manifesto down, but I copied it, and I'm sure a lot of people did, because I printed it out. But they had it up for months and months. And you got major companies throwing money at these people.
Unbelievable. Destruction.
And then you found out, of course, one of the founders, right? The three founders, the one that left, she took millions of dollars and bought a bunch of houses around America. Hello, wake up. Capitalism is great.
Yeah, destruction of the nuclear family unit, or whatever they said in their manifesto. And I'm like, I grew up in a fatherless home, and I know how it affected me. And I'm like, that is a terrible idea.
It's a horrible idea.
Yeah, all the studies are out there.
80% of African Americans are raised without a father. 80%. And you wonder why we have problems in our inner cities, because they don't have that male bond going in there. How many times you see a really good athlete in high school or college or pros, and they're raised by a mother or grandmother? Yeah. And I blame that on our government. Back in 1964, LBJ passed the Welfare Reform Act, and I'm sure it was good intentions. Maybe you hope it was, but the whole idea was, we'll take care of single mothers in the Black communities. You can't have a man in your life. So what happens? Here we are 3 generations later, and we have 5 kids by 5 different guys. By the time they're 26 years old, it's become a way of life of collecting money.
That's
And
crazy.
we pay them for each kid.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's sad. And the inner city schools, the public education system is not doing any favors to the inner cities, none whatsoever.
So let's switch gears for a second. You're currently in the middle of filming the Reagan movie, right?
Yep.
How's that production going?
I've got 1 week left on it. I think there's only maybe 2 weeks total left on it. And Ronald Reagan's being played by Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid and I were reunited. We did a movie called Soul Surfer, The Life of Bethany Hamilton together about 8 years ago. And Sean McNamara is directing, same guy who directed us in Soul Surfer. And I'm actually playing his pastor in the movie. So I think it's going to be an epic movie. I think it's going to be in the vein of what you saw with JFK, that Oliver Stone did. It's just not going to be as conspiracy sort of, pushing that sort of thing on us. But it's a wonderful movie. Howie Klausner wrote it. I shot a movie with Howie as well, and it's good. I'm looking forward. I don't think it'll probably be out until next spring.
What's your role in that?
I play his pastor. I play the pastor for Reagan. Yeah,
that's awesome. Is that a PureFlix movie, or is it a lot of?
No. PureFlix has gone under. They sold out.
Oh, wow.
I think they've made some bad moves, and the last 4 or 5 movies lost the money. I mean, God's Not Dead made more money for them than all their movies combined.
Right.
And they filed for a nonprofit about 3 years ago, and now they sold to Sony, Affirmed. Rich Peluso's placed there, that he works with the Kendricks a lot, Courageous, War Room, movies like that. And they sold their streaming service, so it's still called PureFlix, but it's under the Sony Affirmed banner. And now the people that started PureFlix had now started another company, but I can't remember the name of it. They had to change the name. They couldn't use PureFlix anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yep.
So I want to talk about your book a little bit. Your newest book, True Faith, it was published earlier this year, right?
Yep.
And you wrote it along with your wife, Sam?
Yep, we did.
So I learned that you had 3 strokes. I was watching some of your testimony when you spoke at a church, and you had this, I guess, this mass, and then they cracked your chiropractor cracked your neck, and it almost left you paralyzed and partially blind. Is that right?
Could have killed me. 3 strokes to the brain. It was actually 4, but the one disappeared as we're going to the hospital because it was in my speech.
Man, I can't imagine what that was like, because here you were basically on top of the world at the time, making major motion pictures, Call the Conqueror, which was Conan's dad.
Sure. Yeah.
Coming off of the highest rated television series in the world.
Yeah.
And then this happened. So what was that like?
Not fun. It was Hercules went for 7 years, but we're the end of season 5. And I was having all kinds of problems with my left arm. I couldn't figure what was going on. Came back to America, did promotional work on Call the Conqueror, my first big budget movie. And I was going to start another big budget movie right after that before heading back to season 6 on Hercules. And I was on Letterman and Leno doing all the talk shows, came back, saw my doctor in Beverly Hills, and he found a lump way up here in my shoulder. Well, that ended up being an aneurysm, which I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it at the time, but for months I've been sending blood clots into my arm, and suffocating the blood flow into my fingers, and my arm was killing me. I couldn't figure what was going on. And my chiropractor, before they did the biopsy on this, I went to see my chiropractor, and they found, he started working my neck, and a voice went over and over my head. And now we got a guy outside working. I'm here, sorry. We got the landscapers here. And a voice in my head said, "Don't let him crack your neck," multiple times, which is weird because he's never cracked my neck. And I know now that was God warning me, but it didn't make any sense to me, because why is his voice saying, "Don't let him crack your neck"? Because he's never, ever cracked my neck, because I don't let any chiropractor crack my neck. I don't like it. He cracks my neck. Well, the aneurysm was so close to the artery feeding the brain, it actually opened up the aneurysm, sent hundreds of clots to my arm, and then the 4 clots to my brain. They rushed me to the hospital. And I knew I'd suffered strokes, because I would you can understand me. And I said to myself, I'm going to die today. And I really thought I was going to die. I was shocked how calm I was about it. Maybe I was in shock, but I was in ICU for 2 weeks. It took me 4 months to learn how to walk again, learn how to balance again. It took me 3 years to fully recover. I did write a book called True Strength, which really opened another door for me, speaking events, which I'd never done before. And started speaking in front of groups of 500 to 3,000 people, talking about my book, talking about medical things, and talking about things trying to get healthier. And then they found out that I was a Christian, so I started talking about being a Christian and Christian education. And then they found out conservative, then it became political things as well. So it opened the door for a number of different things. They also found out that I'm pro-life. So I do a lot of pro-life speaking, which I'm doing in Dallas coming up here on Tuesday of next week, actually. So it was interesting to have that door open up to me. And I didn't want to write the book, but I'll tell you, it's been a godsend because I've had people from all walks of life that have been cancer survivors, car crash survivors, stroke survivors, whatever it may be, saying your book motivated me to stop feeling sorry for myself. Because it was really a book about, it's titled True Strength, My Journey from Hercules to Mere Mortal and How Nearly Dying Saved My Life. But the True Strength title came from, I was doing Hercules at that time, and Hercules was fake strength. I'm a strong guy, I'm a 6'3". I was 230 back then, I'm 210 now, I'm a wimpy old guy now, but back then I was, pretty darn good shape. And I did all my fight scenes because I loved doing it. It was the jock in me growing up playing football and basketball. But my stunt guys made me look like a stud, So that was phony strength. When we have roadblocks in our life, you need to find your own true strength because it's so easy to blame God, family, friends, the world. It's everybody else's fault, which I think you're looking at Antifa and BLM, I think, and angry people like that protest, I think they're doing the same thing. Their lives didn't turn out the way they wanted to. They couldn't handle the roadblocks in front of them. So what do? They blame you and me. We're the bad guys. How dare you work hard in your life to become successful? How dare you have failure after failure before you had success? I'm a 13-year overnight success. So we can talk about what I went through to get to where I'm at, okay? My dad was a school teacher. I'm the fourth of 5 kids. My clothes were hand-me-downs from my brothers, but my parents taught us hard work, and that's the key, having hard work. But that book, people coming up saying, your book has saved my life because I stopped feeling sorry for myself. Because every time I got down, my New York City, Pittsburgh wife said, it happened. What are you going to do about it? And I went, yeah, you're right. What am I going to do about it? So I stopped whining and started pushing myself, doing 10 times more than what the doctors told me to do in my recovery in terms of my therapy. And I push myself to exhaustion every day. And you got to do that because failure, guys, is going to happen to all of us. You got to get over it and stop blaming the world for your problems. Look in the mirror, cue Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, cue the song, get off your butt and start doing something about it. Because I know life sucks. God never promised an easy life.
Yeah, the victim mentality gets you nowhere. I wonder, so Think and Grow Rich, great classic, self-help piece of literature. And it says, every adversity is the seed of an equal or greater benefit. What happened to that thinking? That's what I wonder when everybody's shaking their fists and saying, you owe me whatever. No, I mean, I was born my mom was pregnant with me at 14 years old, but I don't go, well, that sucks that I was born, I didn't have a dad, or no, I might have to work a little bit harder, but every adversity is a seed of an equal or greater benefit. And even with your story, I was thinking about it, even though Jesus was telling you, don't let him crack your neck, he still worked all things together for the good. Even though it happened, he still turned it into something good for you now, because now you're out inspiring all these other people, writing these books, and that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, it's no question. I mean, I probably wouldn't be doing the faith-based movies I'm doing now. I don't know.
How did it change?
It opened a completely different door. I don't think God made me get strokes. He was actually warning me not to not crack my neck, but it was the catalyst for me to say, wow, I'm getting a second chance here, because usually one stroke can put you out for the rest of your life. And one of my older brothers suffered a massive stroke here about 3 years ago. His whole left side is gone. He's sitting in a wheelchair now. And there's nothing he can do. And he was active just like the rest of us, So weird things happen, and happen to all of us. I used to caddy at this private country club, very wealthy country club when I was in college. And I would ask guys, how did you become successful? I'm 19 years old, right? And these guys would say, oh, I failed, Kevin. And I failed again, and I failed again, and I failed. Oh, and by the way, I failed again. And that hit me, boom. And that mentality was, use those things as a positive, not a negative. When I moved out to Hollywood, one of my best buddies said, Sorbs, remember, it's called show business, not show. It is a business. So I went out there and I double major in business, marketing and advertising. I marketed and advertised myself because I was my own product. In Hollywood, you are your own product. And I didn't take any grief. Whenever everybody said no to me, which I would get 99 no's for every yes, every audition I went on. But every time those 99 no's happened, I said, you're lost. You picked the wrong guy. That's okay. But I just kept on plugging away because I knew I would find success in this business one way or another. And you have to have that faith. You have to have that belief, because too many people give up too quickly.
Incredible work ethic, actually. I've heard.
That's my mom and dad. That's my mom and dad.
So you're 6'3", you said you were 230. Are they your dad's pretty jacked too?
No, you know, I mean, he was strong because he grew up in the farms in Iowa. He was an only child, but my grandma couldn't have any more kids. There was problems in that reproductive area for her. But I got the height in the family, 6'3", but I got two brothers that are 6'1", the one brother is 5'9", so he hates the fact we got all the height. But you know, my sister's 5'9" as well. And so, you know, it's there. But my kids now, I mean, my 19-year-old's 6'5", my 7-year-old's 6'3". So it's like, it's interesting. But you know, we're homeschoolers, and COVID has more than doubled homeschooling. So people out there, homeschool your kids. If you feel you can't teach your first grader, you just went through a system, K through 12th grade, and you feel that system didn't prepare you to teach a first grader, what does that say about our education system?
For real.
Yeah.
Last point. I heard you mention in a video, you were talking about the opposite of Christianity isn't atheism. You said it's secularism. Can you explain that to the listeners?
Well, look what's going on in the world right now. You see that taking over right now. I mean, I took a trip. I took the family, went to Europe for a month 2 years ago before the COVID killed everything. Thank God we were able to do it then. I was doing 3 autograph shows in Zurich, in Munich, no, in Vienna, Munich, and up in Brussels. I said, my wife said, let's make this a trip with the kids. You know, we'll fly everybody over, we'll travel, we'll see stuff. I'll probably break even with all the 3 trips, but who cares? Break even on a trip to Europe? Are you kidding? It's wonderful. Let's take advantage of this. So we get over there. We visited all these churches all over Europe. They're empty. They're empty. It's a total secular world over there right now. And you just kind of go, wow. I mean, this was really the extension and continuation of the birth of Christianity through Europe. And it's like dead now. And people have given up. It's all, secularism is all about me. How do I satisfy me? How do I make myself happy? But as you're seeing, in Antifa and BLM and other people that are out there with just so much anger and hate, and the cancel culture and the stupidity of this woke thing going on, and this just attack on everybody if you have a different point of view now, is they're not that happy. They live in these black holes, and their anger towards people like you and me attacking us, I think it's like a drug fix. It's a short-term fix, but all it does is make them feel more unhappy. They don't affect my lifestyle.
Right.
I feel sorry for these people. I pray for these people.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that one day we can have a legitimate conversation that's real and not filled with all this anger and hate. But secularism is taking hold of the world right now. And it's tied closely with atheism, of course, and agnosticism. But I call the agnostics the independent voters out there. Those are the ones I hope to reach my movies more than anybody. Are they going to go to the dark side, or are they going to go to the light? You know?
Right.
So
exactly.
I'm hoping, but you know, it's amazing to me the number of people have come up to me and say that my movie has made them find God and find Jesus. I've had Muslims a number of times come up to me and say, I used to be Muslim. Your movie made me become a Christian. And I find that unbelievable. It's amazing to me.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about. Well, I'm going to let you go because I know that you're a busy man. You have a lot of stuff that you're working on, but
yeah,
I want
you kept me talking too long, dude. Shame on you. I know.
Go. Sorry. Thank you for letting me run over there. To find out more about the release of all Kevin's movies and to purchase his books, visit kevinsorbo.net. You can also follow him on Instagram at ksorbo. Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm out there on Twitter too. Ksorbs. Go to Twitter and Ksorbs. They haven't taken me down. They took away a lot of people, and now it's building back up again. I think it's closing at 600,000 now, but they took away a lot from me. But I post very funny things on there. I'm not going after saying what is this about masks or this about the voter fraud. I'm not talking about that. So I hope people check it out, and also go to sorbofamilyfilmstudios.com. sorbofamilyfilmstudios.com. Sign up. I'll keep you up to date with what we're going on the movies that are coming out. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
It's so awesome. Thank you for coming on.
All right, dude. Take care. Have a good weekend.